Hello, my name's Dr. Sandra Cabot. I'm a medical doctor from down under, or the wonderful country of Australia. It's great to be with you today. It's a real privilege that I can share my knowledge about the liver with you, and it's a great opportunity for you, because really what I've discovered after more than 30 years of practicing medicine is that your liver is the most important organ in your body. Think about this. Take the letter R off the end of the word liver. And what does it say? Live. How long do you want to live? How well do you want to live? Has a lot to do with your liver and how healthy it is. So just to reassure you that I have a scientific background, I studied medicine in the capital city of South Australia. That city is known as Adelaide. I graduated from Adelaide University in 1975. In medicine and surgery, and with first class honours. So I do have a very good scientific background. I believe in science, I believe in physiology, histology, biochemistry, and I believe in evidence-based medicine. And although I'm a medical doctor, I really believe in nutritional medicine as the first line of healing for people, because what I've discovered after many years is that nutritional medicine is just as scientific as modern day medicine, which is orientated towards drug therapy and the suppression of symptoms. So I believe in holistic medicine. So we're going to learn all about this wonderful organ, your liver, which has a lot to do with your energy. How do you feel every day? Tired? Well, remember, your liver is the furnace of your body. It generates the energy that sustains your existence. It generates the heat that keeps us warm. So how do you feel every day? If you don't feel that well, chances are it could be your liver. And what I observed in the 1990s was an emerging epidemic of liver disease and liver dysfunction. And this is unprecedented. Before that, mainly we saw liver disease in alcoholics. But we started to see this new phenomena of people with fatty liver, people with hepatitis, which is mainly caused by viral infection, and people with toxic overload, people with autoimmune disease, which was related to liver dysfunction. So I became very, very interested in research in the liver. So we're going to start by looking at what the liver does in your body. So you can see in this slide here that your liver burns fat. So it has a lot to do with your weight. It's the hardest working organ in your body, the furnace and energy factory of your body, the filter and cleanser of your bloodstream. So that's just a little part of what it does. Let's look at the liver now under a high-powered microscope. So we've magnified the liver billions of times, and you can see that the liver is made up of these spaces. They're red because they're full of blood, and the liver has an enormous blood flow through the hepatic artery and the portal vein, and as the blood flows through the spaces in the liver cells remove unhealthy cells from your bloodstream, microorganisms which are trying to infect your body, toxic chemicals, and even cancer cells. So your liver is able to help prevent cancer spreading in your body. Another good reason to keep your liver very healthy. Now, the liver is also unique in that it can take these toxins that get into our body every day from many different sources, and it can turn those toxins into harmless substances. What a relief. So we want it to be efficient at doing that. And the liver is very specialised in that it can take toxins which are only soluble in fat and turn them into water-soluble substances, and only then are they able to escape from your body in watery fluids like the urine, the bile and the sweat. So very important to get those toxins out. So one of the best things you can do for your liver is drink a lot of water, and that's something a lot of people don't do. They're chronically dehydrated. It's very important that the liver gets these fatty toxins out of our body, otherwise they will stay in the fatty parts of our body. So they will be stored forever in the fat, and they are carcinogenic and they can cause other diseases. So it's important that the liver turns them into water-soluble substances. And you can see in this slide that the liver has phase 1 and phase 2 pathways by which it converts the fat-soluble toxins into water-soluble substances, which are then able to escape from the body. And to do these functions in the phase 1 and phase 2 pathways, the liver needs a lot of nutrients, specific nutrients. For example, it needs antioxidants, it needs B vitamins, it needs selenium, it needs the sulfur mineral, and it needs amino acids. And all these nutrients are used for the liver to make the most powerful antioxidant in your body, and that is called glutathione. And you've probably heard of glutathione, and your liver needs to make it all the time because it protects your liver and other parts of your body from damage from free radicals. And free radicals are really very damaging to our cells. So if we're producing a lot of free radicals in our liver, we will get liver disease because we have this chronic inflammation happening in our body, and particularly in our liver. So by looking after our liver, we're going to make a lot more of this wonderful glutathione, which will protect us from chronic inflammation and will also slow down aging and prevent degenerative diseases. We all need that to be happening at an efficient level in our body. So let's look at your liver. Let's do a liver checkup. Fingers crossed you come out with a good score. So do you have any of these symptoms? They could be a sign of a dysfunctional liver that needs help. Do you have a roll of fat around your upper abdomen? This cuddly little roll here that I call the liver roll. Sometimes people call it a muffin roll, but it's a roll of fat around the upper abdomen. Do you have bloating and congestion in your abdomen? Do you have discomfort or pain here over the area where your liver is situated? Do you have indigestion? Do you have these fatty yellowish lumps in your skin? As you can see here on the slide, this patient has these lumps known as xanthelasma in her eyelids, and that's a build-up of cholesterol and other fats that are unhealthy because the liver is not getting rid of them from the body. Remember I said before that your liver metabolizes fat, it burns fat, it pumps fat out of your body through the bile. If it's not doing that, you'll get fat building up around your heart, or in your organs, and also in your skin. So it's not very attractive. So a liver that is healthy will help us to be more attractive. Okay, what about fatigue? Reflux, heartburn, hemorrhoids. Are you hot all the time? Is your body overheated? You feel like you want to take your clothes off when everybody else is fine? Are you sweaty? You feel hot and sweaty and irritable. That's a sign that your liver is overworked and needs a bit of help. Do you have premature or rapid aging of your skin with these brown spots on the skin? That is a sign that your liver needs help. Now look at the other symptoms that could indicate a dysfunctional liver. Multiple sensitivities or food intolerances, itchy skin, rashes, hives, headaches, especially associated with nausea. Gallbladder problems. Is your liver making toxic bile, which is causing inflammation of the gallbladder and gallstones? High levels of cholesterol and or triglycerides in your blood. Moodiness, aggravation, depression. Red or itchy eyes or dark circles under the eyes. Body odor or bad breath. Unexplained weight gain and inability to lose weight, because your liver is storing fat when it should be burning fat. So you can see that there's lots of different symptoms that can occur if your liver is not working efficiently. And yet many medical doctors don't realise that they are representative of a dysfunctional liver. And modern day medicine is really a program to treat these symptoms with drugs to suppress the symptoms. But really, if you have 5 or 6 of these symptoms, your liver needs help, and it's much more scientific to use nutritional medicine to do this. And it works, it really does work. Now, when we look at the next slide, we can see that if your liver's not working efficiently, there's a lot of other things that can go wrong. And the Chinese call the liver the general of the army of the body. And they mean it's very, very strategic in that if it's not working properly, your immune system is going to malfunction. That's because your liver is the protector of your immune system. And I always say to my patients, hey, your greatest health asset is your immune system. Protects you against cancer, infections, and severe inflammation. But what protects your immune system? Your liver. So if your liver is not working efficiently, your immune system could break down, and then you can see all the problems that could arise, such as allergies, chemical sensitivities, increased inflammation in your body, which by the way is the cause of most diseases, swollen glands, recurrent infections, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia where you ache all over, which can lead to polymyalgia. Autoimmune diseases are far more likely to attack you if your liver is not protecting you. If your liver is dysfunctional, you're more likely to get autoimmune disease, and there's hundreds of different autoimmune diseases. So whenever there's a problem with your immune system, we always need to treat the liver. Skin problems and an increased risk of cancer. So you can see that the liver really is a very strategic organ. But the good news is, and I hope I'm not depressing you all too much, the good news is the liver responds very quickly to nutritional medicine, and of all the organs in the body, the liver is most able to repair and regenerate itself. Don't we love that? I think it was designed that way because a lot of us are our own worst enemies, and we party too much, we drink too much, we don't always eat right, and our liver takes a real beating in this day and age. So thank God that the liver was designed to be able to repair and renew itself. So do you need a liver function test, which is a simple blood test? Well, I think that everybody should have a liver function test annually as part of their general checkup. But there's some people that should have a liver function test more frequently than that. For example, people who use recreational drugs or share needles, or people who take long-term medications prescribed by doctors or over-the-counter medications, especially if they're taking several drugs at one time. And I'd like to tell you a case history of one of my patients, which I think serves as a sign to us all, doctors and patients, that we need to be ever so vigilant with checking the liver when people are taking drugs. Now, this particular patient developed rheumatoid arthritis at the age of 60, which is a severe form of arthritis, very, very painful. And unfortunately, this patient did not consult a holistic nutritional doctor, but rather consulted a specialist in rheumatology, which is not a bad thing. But as I said before, I believe in always, getting several opinions. And the patient was prescribed a very strong drug called methotrexate to suppress the symptoms of rheumatoid arthritis. Now, in that particular patient, the liver function should have been checked every month. Unfortunately for that patient, it was checked only annually. Now, over a decade, that patient developed liver failure and liver cirrhosis from that drug. And the development of liver disease, such as cirrhosis, can be very insidious. You may not have a lot of symptoms, so you may think everything's fine. But one day, bang, you get all the symptoms of liver failure due to cirrhosis, and it's too late. So by the age of 70, this gentleman had end-stage liver disease, he had liver failure, and there was nothing really we could do for him because he was too old for a liver transplant. But his quality of life was terrible. Now, that could have been prevented if he'd had a liver function test every month, and we would have seen, okay, that his liver was becoming damaged. And also he should have had an MRI scan of his liver to check the texture of the liver, or at the very least an ultrasound scan of his liver to check that the liver was not being damaged by a drug. And some people out there are taking 5 or 6 different drugs prescribed by a doctor. We don't know the long-term effect of the interaction of all those drugs together. There's no long-term studies that show what effect on your liver 5 or 6 different drugs will have if you take them for 10 years. So you can never be too careful. Check your liver with a blood test and an ultrasound scan, or maybe even an MRI scan. You can never be too careful. So you can see there's some other conditions here that may indicate you should have a liver function test more frequently. If you have high levels of iron in your blood, those levels can be very dangerous for your liver, and you can develop cirrhosis. If you're very overweight, if you're diabetic, if you work with chemicals, as I said, you can never be too careful. And a lot of people, of course, are not careful enough with their diet. They're smoking. They're using a microwave oven all the time to cook their food, which is irradiating their food. They're exposed to heavy metals. They don't use a water filter. They're drinking too much. So all these things will increase the workload of our liver. So have a liver function test at least every 12 months. Now, we know that if you are overweight, the fat tissue that you are carrying may store fat-soluble toxins, particularly if your liver is not eliminating them, and that can actually make it harder for you to lose weight. So if you have a fatty liver or a toxic liver, you'll find it much harder to lose weight. And the interesting thing is, if you improve your liver function, it's much easier to lose weight. And that was the case for a colleague of mine, Dr. Thomas Iannelli, and he has a fantastic testimonial on his website, which is called confessionsofafatman.com, and also on our website, liverdoctor.com. And Dr. Iannelli was very overweight in his past lifetime. I think he weighed about 350 pounds, and he had a bad fatty liver and he didn't feel well, and he was going to have his stomach bypassed or stomach stapling, one of the surgical procedures that can be done for morbid obesity. And yet he was scared of having that, because when you're very overweight, of course, that is a risk to having a general anaesthetic. So he thought, oh, I'll give it one last try and I'll look around and see if I can find some information on the liver. So one day he went to a bookstore and he found a copy of my little book, The Liver Cleansing Diet. And he took it up and he took it home and he read it in about an hour. It's not hard to read. And he thought, I can do this. And this explains my problem, that because I have a fatty liver, I can't lose weight, and explains why I've got all these cravings, because my insulin level's too high and that's making my liver store fat, and so on. And so he followed this, and it really turned his life around, and he developed his own principles for inspiration and motivation, which have worked for him, and now he looks trim, taut and terrific, and you know, he's having a fantastic time. He's climbing mountains and he's full of energy, and I love his story. So, you know, even doctors can end up with a fatty liver. I mean, sometimes they're the worst because they don't have time to look after themselves or exercise, or they don't know about liver tonics. And so Dr. Iannelli really turned his life around and found that by improving his liver function, it was much easier to lose weight. So check him out at confessionsofafatman.com and send him an email. He loves to get emails. And let's talk about fatty liver, because it really is very interesting. About 1 in 4 Americans have a fatty liver. Now that's opposite to what your liver should be. A healthy liver burns fat and it pumps excessive fat out of your body through the bile. So if you have a fatty liver, that means your liver is storing fat. That's opposite to what should happen. That's not good. And this can lead to being overweight, diabetic, and in the long term it can even lead to liver failure caused by cirrhosis. And indeed the damage caused by fatty liver can be just as bad as that seen in severe alcoholics. So we need to reverse a fatty liver. And I've done a clinical study on fatty liver in patients in Australia, and I have proven that it is quite easy to reverse a fatty liver through a combination of a low carbohydrate diet, plenty of protein, plenty of raw food, and taking a liver tonic that's very powerful. So we can do it. It's really not hard. And, you know, people think, oh, I'm going to have to live on carrot juice and bean sprouts and I won't be able to drink coffee or have a drink of beer. That's not true at all, because the most important thing about life is to enjoy it. Who wants to be perfect? You live to 120 and have a long, dull, boring life. But we do want to have a good quality of life. So we have to know the tools to reverse a fatty liver, to heal our liver. We want a good quality of life. But we don't have to give up coffee. We don't have to become a teetotaler. And we don't have to give up everything that's fun. And for all my girlfriends out there, we don't have to give up chocolate. Because, I mean, I've got girlfriends that just would not live a day without chocolate. So, you know, we can't give up all the fun things. And we don't need to. But we need the specific tools to heal our liver. And I've been using nutritional medicine for nearly 35 years. So I do know what I'm talking about. And it usually takes about 6 to 12 months to reverse a fatty liver. So it's not that hard, believe me. Okay, so fatty liver is the most common cause of liver disease today. It's far more common than hepatitis, which is due to viral infection. And so if you think you could have a fatty liver, ask your doctor for a blood test for liver function and have an ultrasound scan of your liver, and it will show that your liver texture has changed. And you can see here that a fatty liver has a different texture. It's yellow, greasy, and the spaces that should be in the liver to filter the blood are being filled up with unhealthy toxic fat. Nasty. We don't want that. And this fat can cause inflammation, which can cause liver damage and cirrhosis. So we want to reverse it. Now let's look at a few more gory pictures of liver things, as we say, body parts. Not everybody likes looking at them, but I think it's quite interesting. And as I have mentioned before in this presentation, the word inflammation. Inflammation is the thing that causes most disease. We've all got inflammation in our body, but those of us who have too much inflammation will develop degenerative diseases at a much earlier age. And when it comes to the liver, we're likely to develop liver disease of some sort if we have a lot of inflammation in our liver. So you can see here a picture of a healthy liver. Then you can see here a picture of a cirrhotic liver. This liver has cirrhosis, which basically means the liver is distorted with scar tissue. You can see it's all knobbly or lumpy, and that is because the scar tissue has squeezed or choked the healthy liver cells and the spaces in the liver and distorted them, and the liver can actually shrink and become just like a little shrunken knob of scar tissue. Very nasty, and it will eventually lead to liver failure. The cause of that cirrhosis is chronic inflammation in the liver, and we can control that. And that's very important. We can prevent cirrhosis, no matter what the cause, if people reduce the inflammation. And then you can see the slide of someone with primary biliary cirrhosis, which is just a different form of cirrhosis where the inflammation is around the bile ducts. That's an autoimmune disease, once again caused by uncontrolled inflammation. And people often don't know they've got inflammation in their body. They're walking around and think everything's fine, but it's not, you know. You really have to look after your immune system and your liver to control this inflammation, particularly as you get older. If you have a family history of inflammatory problems, or just because we live in a toxic day and age. There's so many toxins out there that are always attacking our body and causing inflammation. And there's so many nutritional deficiencies which make the inflammation worse. So we really need to nurture our immune system to stop this inflammation. And I only wish I'd known about this at a younger age, because really, you know, it's all about preventative medicine. The earlier you start, the better off you are. And then we can see a slide of liver cysts. Well, they're just kind of empty spaces in the liver that have a circular appearance. Their cysts are often full of fluid or toxic fat, and they can be caused by inflammation or blockage of the bile ducts. And once again, we can reverse this pathology. We can shrink the cysts, and we can often prevent them from forming. So What can cause inflammation in our liver? Well, viruses such as hepatitis B and C virus, too much sugar in our diet. Sugar is very pro-inflammatory. So if you're a diabetic or if you're eating a lot of sugar, you can get a fatty liver from that and a lot of inflammation in your body and your liver. Too much alcohol. Well, how much is too much? Generally, more than 2 drinks a day would be toxic to your liver. Of course, some people drink a lot more than that. And different people have different tolerance to alcohol. Some people can tolerate a lot more than other people. Women don't tolerate alcohol as well as men. Women are more likely to get liver damage from a lower intake of alcohol compared to men. But generally, you know, if you have more than 2 glasses or 2 drinks of alcohol a day, then that could cause some problems. If you have a lot of fat in your liver, that can cause inflammation. If you're exposed to a lot of toxic chemicals or heavy metals, then that can cause inflammation. Medications, as we said, the gentleman with the history of rheumatoid arthritis who took methotrexate had severe inflammation in his liver, which destroyed his liver, literally ate his liver away over a period of 10 years. And people on polypharmacy, they might be taking 5 or 6 different drugs, that can cause inflammation. And food intolerances. So the most common food intolerance would be gluten. So if you're intolerant to gluten, that could be causing an inflammatory reaction in your gut and in your liver, which could lead to liver damage. So wow, there's a lot of things that can cause inflammation. And how are we going to control this inflammation? We have to control it, we have to reduce it to prevent liver disease, no matter what the cause. Well, we're going to talk about that just a little bit later. We're going to talk about which supplements you need and which foods you need. And it's very important that you know about this, and you'll find that it's not hard to achieve. Okay, well, now let's look at this slide and see why we need to prevent end-stage liver disease. This is the appearance of someone who has a very advanced case of fatty liver. The liver is enlarged and swollen with fat. The abdomen is swollen with a fluid called acidic fluid. This is known as ascites. The fluid has to be drained, and this patient has jaundice or yellow discoloration of the white of the eye due to obstruction of the flow of bile into the gut. Other symptoms would be mental confusion due to the very high levels of ammonia in the blood. The liver turns ammonia into urea, which is eliminated by the kidney. So if your liver is diseased, it's not able to convert ammonia into urea, the level of ammonia in your blood will build up. And ammonia is extremely toxic to your brain. It will cause mental confusion, poor memory, mood changes. It will cause, in the end, a type of encephalopathy or brain inflammation, which will make you delirious and totally confused and unable to function. So in that condition, you need to be hospitalised. Muscle wasting is another symptom of liver failure, easy bruising. And at this stage, you know, the patient is waiting for a liver transplant. So we must prevent liver disease progressing to end stage. And we are able to with nutritional medicine. Sometimes we may need to also to use some drugs, but we always need to use nutritional medicine and control that inflammation that leads to end-stage liver disease. Okay, so let's look at some of the benefits of improving your liver function. Well, there's many. Better fat metabolism, which will lead to easier weight control, a reduction in cholesterol and triglyceride levels, so your doctor will be pleased and hopefully you won't have to take statin drugs, which by the way can be toxic for the liver, a reduction in your blood pressure, a reduced risk of heart disease, improved blood sugar control, very important for diabetics who often have a fatty liver, reduced risk of diabetes if you're trying to prevent diabetes, increased energy levels, a reduction in headaches. That's fantastic news for all those people out there that suffer with migraines. Also, your skin will be a lot nicer. You'll have clearer skin. Your brown spots will fade, rashes will diminish, and psoriasis can often be cured, and I mean cured completely, if you improve your liver function. And often it is necessary to avoid gluten if you have psoriasis. It is an autoimmune disease often associated with gluten intolerance. Clearer and less puffy eyes, better immune function, a reduced chemical sensitivity, a clearer mind, improved digestion. And what about in men? There's some special advantages to improving your liver function if you're a male, and that is it'll increase your testosterone levels. So that's going to increase your libido or sex drive and your sexual performance. And this is really important because a lot of men who are overweight have a fatty liver. And they may also have sleep apnea and snore a lot, feel extremely fatigued. And nobody thinks about their liver. The doctor says, well, go home and lose weight. But it's very hard to lose weight if your liver is storing fat. You need your liver to be burning fat. You need to work on your liver and improve your liver function. Get the fat out of your liver, then your testosterone levels come up and you feel like a man again. So liver dysfunction often associated with very, very low levels of testosterone in men of all ages. Even in men in their 20s, their testosterone level can be extremely low if their liver's not working properly. So check your testosterone level with a blood test if your liver's fatty, and by improving your liver function, you'll feel more of the man that you want to be. The other thing is improved blood pressure control. And that is very important because blood pressure is very dangerous. Blood pressure is a killer, and a lot of people have trouble getting it under control. They might need 3 or 4 different drugs, and even then they have a battle. Well, one thing that really helps blood pressure is magnesium. I've written a book on magnesium called Magnesium, the Miracle Mineral. You won't believe the difference it makes to your health and your sex life. So magnesium is something men should know about if they have high blood pressure and sexual dysfunction. Okay, so many advantages to improving your liver function if you're a man. Okay, so let's look at some of the foods that are superfoods for the liver that can really detox your liver and help your liver to burn fat. And on this slide you can see there's a list here of what we call the rather smelly foods. And that is because they're all high in the mineral sulfur, and sulfur has a characteristic smell. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to give you gas and that you're going to have flatulence or burp a lot. You probably won't, and you can always take digestive enzymes. But it is important that you increase your intake of foods high in sulfur because your liver needs sulfur to make that glutathione in your liver. Remember, that's the most powerful antioxidant in the human body, and also to detox your body. So look at all these things: onions, garlic, leeks, scallions, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage. These things are all high in sulfur. Beautiful for your liver. Okay, turmeric is excellent for your liver. Ginger, spices like chili, bell peppers, globe artichokes, green foods that have a rather bitter taste, such as chicory, endive, rocket, radicchio, dandelion, kale. What about growing some fresh herbs? If you've got a little herb, or you guys say herb, in America we say herbs. In Australia, if you've got a little herb garden, it's fantastic to grow some organic herbs. They are wonderful for your liver. Grow some cilantro, some basil, some parsley, some mint, some oregano or oregano, chives. They grow so easily and they will really help your liver. You can put them in salads, or you can put them in some juices, and you'll find that they're very good for fighting cancer, for fighting liver cancer, for fighting bowel cancer, for detoxifying your body. And other things, you can eat some culinary seaweeds like nori or wakame. Look, if you don't like any of this stuff, you don't have to eat it. There's a wide selection of choices. But you can experiment a bit, and there's fantastic recipes in all my books. And if you go to liverdoctor.com, we have free newsletters called the Liverish newsletter, and that comes out every week. So definitely subscribe, and we have fantastic recipes, because what you eat has a lot to do with how your liver functions and what type of immune system you'll have. So all this green stuff is great, and a lot of people don't eat nearly enough of it. They don't eat enough raw food. And one of the reasons we have so much bowel cancer now in young people is they don't eat raw food. What about healthy liver? What about healthy liver drinks or beverages? You know, some people say, "Oh yeah, beer, that's the best one." And of course, you guys have Budweiser. In Australia, we have Tui's. And as I said, there's nothing wrong with having a few drinks of alcohol. Everything in moderation. Unless you're an alcoholic, of course, when you really can't touch it, because one drink is too many and 1,000's not enough. So, you know, we have to be careful there. But what about water? You know, I've got some water here. People don't drink enough water. Most people are chronically dehydrated. So drink some water, and here's to your liver. Beautiful. Tea and coffee is fine. You don't have to give up coffee. You don't have to give up caffeine. Herbal teas such as green tea, dandelion, etc., all very healthy for the liver. Homemade lemonade, you can squeeze citrus, and if you want to sweeten it, add some stevia or xylitol to it, and then it will taste really nice. We don't want sugary drinks. If you have a lot of diet sodas or, you know, sugar drinks, pop drinks, soda drinks laden with sugar, that's going to cause diabetes. It's going to cause a fatty liver. So we want to minimize the sugary drinks. And the other thing you can do with raw juicing is, if you're really busy and you don't have time to make a juice every day, you can make a whole week's supply or a whole month's supply if you want, if you've got a big freezer. And as soon as you've made it, freeze it, and it will last forever. So if you freeze your juice straight after you make it in little glass jars, put it in the freezer, it'll last forever. That's what I do. So, you know, you might put 7 or 8 different things in your juice, and you mix it all up, and then you put it in these glass jars, put a lid on, and freeze it. Leave about that much space in the jar so that you don't crack the jar. I've got a little book called Raw Juices Can Save Your Life, and they can. Juicing's really good. It's great if you can do your own juices, and it tastes fantastic. It really does, and I love it. And how much do you need? Well, it depends. If you're trying to fight cancer, you might need a lot. You know, you might need about a litre a day, which would be the equivalent of about 4 glasses. But if you're just a general healthy person who's wanting to improve your liver, 300 mils, which would be about 10 ounces, 8 to 10 ounces, or 250 to 300 mils would be plenty. So you don't need a huge amount unless you have cancer. You can get by with, you know, about 8 to 10 ounces a day, which is really achievable, particularly if you freeze it. So I love juicing. It can help to heal your liver, particularly if you have a lot of inflammation in your liver. Protein is good. If you have a fatty liver, you need plenty of protein and less carbohydrate. And these are good sources of protein. Eggs are very good for your liver. And eat the yolk. The yolk has got sulfur in it. And the cholesterol you find in these natural protein foods is good for your liver. It's the unhealthy trans fats or deep fried foods that are bad for your liver. So you can have natural cholesterol and it won't put your blood cholesterol up. Relax. Enjoy the egg, eat the oats. Eggs help you to lose weight. Poultry, lean fresh meat, seafood, cheese, yogurt, nuts, legumes, all these things are great sources of protein. Protein has no effect on insulin, therefore it doesn't cause your body to store fat. It's helpful for those with a fatty liver or those wanting to lose weight. Now, we don't need a low-fat diet if we've got a fatty liver. We need a low-carbohydrate diet. What we do need is to make sure we get enough healthy fats from avocados, raw nuts and seeds, cold-pressed oils like olive oil or fish oil or coconut oil or flax. Now, flax seeds are very good. You can grind them and store the powder in the freezer. Chia seeds, walnuts, are high in omega-3. So all these foods are fantastic for your liver, and fish oil in particular I think is very good because it's high in omega-3, and omega-3 fats protect your liver cells from inflammation. So that's going to prevent a lot of end-stage liver disease, right? We said that chronic inflammation leads to scarring in your liver and cirrhosis. All sorts of liver diseases are caused by chronic inflammation. So the healthy fats are important to stop that chronic inflammation. So anyone with the hepatitis, no matter of what origin, or fatty liver, needs the healthy fats. So what I do with fish oil is I get a liquid fish oil in a glass bottle, dark coloured glass. I keep the fish oil in the fridge and I have it off the spoon just before I eat. And I have about 2 tablespoons a day. I find it fantastic. Some people don't want to have that much. They might only have 2 teaspoons a day. Some people have 3 tablespoons a day. It just depends on what you're trying to achieve. But whatever dose you're taking, make sure you're getting enough of these wonderful omega-3 fats that you find in fish oil and walnuts and flax seeds, because if you're not, you're going to be susceptible to long-term chronic serious inflammation. Okay, let's talk about Livertone Plus. This is a liver formula that has become very popular over the last 15 years. It's a very powerful liver formula and it contains a lot of ingredients. You can see here that it has a very high dose of milk thistle, 420 milligrams of pure silymarin from 35,000 milligrams of milk thistle. It has all the important antioxidants, vitamin C and E, which reduce inflammation. It has all the B vitamins, which are vital for your liver to detoxify poisons. It has folic acid and inositol, which are cofactors for B vitamins. It has taurine, which is a sulfur-bearing amino acid which your liver needs to make bile, and your liver needs taurine to pump toxins out of your body through the bile. It has other sulfur-bearing amino acids like cysteine, glutamine and glycine, and your liver makes glutathione out of those amino acids. And remember, glutathione is the most powerful antioxidant in your body. It has natural carotenoids, it has green tea, it has glutathione, zinc, and it has selenium. And selenium is the most important mineral for your liver because it is a potent antioxidant that reduces inflammation. Now, I'm going to show you the capsule of Livertone Plus that we have here. And it's a small capsule. And inside that one capsule is combined all those ingredients. So there's a lot of different ingredients: the milk thistle, the antioxidants, the B vitamins, the zinc, selenium, sulfur-bearing amino acids, glutathione, green tea, and carotenoids. There's a lot of different things combined in one capsule. So it's very good technology that enables us to do that. It's a powder in a vegetarian capsule. So it's not all compressed with binders and fillers. So for that reason, it's easily absorbed. Now, the dose varies from 2 capsules to 4 capsules a day with food. Some people only need 1 capsule as a long-term dose, but you don't then have to go and take 20 different supplements. It's all in one. So it's a very good formula that's been on the market for 15 years and it works very well for many different cases, and it supports liver function. It really helps your liver to burn fat. It supports your liver to be able to detoxify your body. So that's the Livertone Plus formula, a multi-ingredient, multi-action formula. Now, the other thing, with your liver, it's very important that you have healthy bowels. Now, it's only in the last decade that we've come to realise that most of your immune system is found in your gut. And part of your immune system is all the bacteria in your gut. So we have several kilograms of bacteria in our gut. That's a lot of bugs. And hopefully they're the healthy bugs, not the unhealthy mean bugs that are disease causing and inflammation causing. So what we want for a healthy immune system is healthy bugs in our gut. So how are we going to have that healthy population? How are we going to achieve that? Well, first of all, a probiotic can help a lot. There's a lot of good probiotics on the market. We can also eat organic acidophilus yogurt, plain yogurt, not flavoured yogurt. We can take a natural antibiotic, a parasite cleanse, and we can also change our diet so that we're eating more raw food. If we have about 30 to 40% of our diet as raw food, that will completely change the bacterial population in our gut. Some people need even more percentage of their diet as raw food. But as a minimum, 30 to 40% of our diet should be raw vegetables and fruits, and we can make really nice salads, nice dressings that taste fantastic. And all the recipes are in the books, and they're in the Liverish newsletter if you want more ideas. So raw food, it gives us healthy bacteria, it helps to prevent bowel cancer, and it's going to help our immune system. The other thing, we need to avoid constipation. Otherwise, we get a build-up of toxins and unhealthy bacteria. So we can use a fibre product such as Fibertone, or just plain psyllium by itself. Or if we have an enlarged colon, what we call redundant bowel, where your bowel's like more suited to being a cow, and 1 in 5 people have this, where the bowel is really, really long and redundant, and those people have terrible constipation, and they've often had it since childhood. In that situation, we can take a magnesium powder, like magnesium oxide or magnesium hydroxide or Epsom salts, and that will flush the colon out. We do that once a week. So very important to look after our bowel as well as our liver. Another thing that some people use for their liver is MSM. It contains sulfur, so you can put that in water or juice, and that's a refreshing drink. As we said before, sulfur is helpful for the liver, and particularly if you don't like eating all the smelly vegetables like the onion and garlic, or the cruciferous vegetables, which is the broccoli, cabbage and Brussels sprout. If you don't eat enough of those, well, you can use a bit of MSM, because that gives you some organic sulfur. These are some of my books that I've written on the liver, and I like all the books, but the fatty liver one is very good because it really is specific in reversing a fatty liver, and it has an autobiography by Dr. Thomas Iannelli, who's a cancer specialist, and he talks about healing his fatty liver. So I love the book on fatty liver. It's got a lot of great recipes, and it might help you a lot. Okay, let's talk now a little bit about hepatitis, because I think it's a very interesting subject, and I think it's very misunderstood. A lot of people have no idea about the depth of this problem on this planet. For example, hepatitis B. Now, we've heard of the hepatitis B virus, but if you say to somebody, well, how do you catch it? They usually haven't got a clue. Well, generally, it's caught by having sex with someone who has it, or from contaminated blood. And it's the most common liver disease in the world, really. Hepatitis B affects nearly 500 million people on this planet today. So we say approximately 450 million, well, it's close enough to 500 million, and that's an estimate. It could even be more. So it's the most common viral infection. And unfortunately, there's no cure for hepatitis B. So even in this day and age, there's no cure. But what we do have is a very good vaccination against hepatitis B, and it's very important that people are vaccinated to try and greatly reduce the incidence of hepatitis B. Hepatitis B is the second most common cause of cancer after tobacco. Hepatitis B is the second most common cause of cancer, and it causes liver cancer, often in relatively young people. So a very nasty disease. Now, if you're an adult and you have hepatitis B, it's no big deal. Generally speaking, it's not going to harm you if you got it when you were an adult. Whereas if you got it when you were very young, it's far more dangerous. But still, if you are a carrier of hepatitis B, there's a lot that you can do to protect your liver and to keep the amount of virus in your body low. That's the key. Keep the virus low, because otherwise you're going to end up with a high viral load, and then you're going to feel very tired and you've got more chance of getting liver damage from the virus. Now let's talk about another liver virus, which is the hepatitis C virus. And you can see there's a picture of the virus here, and the genetic material of the virus is that curly purple thing you see. It's an RNA virus, and its genetic material is surrounded by a green and purple coat, and that's made of protein and fat. So a virus is extremely tiny, 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 much smaller than your red blood cells or white blood cells, for example. And the hepatitis C virus actually gets inside your cells and gets into the nucleus of your cells and incorporates it into your own genetic material. So the virus becomes part of your genome or your DNA. So it's not very nice feeling to think, well, you've got a virus that's actually become part of your DNA. And that's why a lot of people with viral hepatitis feel so bad, and they want to get rid of the virus. They want to eradicate the virus. So science is working on that. But I think it's even more important to reduce the chance of the virus damaging you. You may not be able to eradicate it. As I said, there's no cure for hepatitis B, but we can greatly reduce the chance of that virus damaging your liver and causing cirrhosis or liver cancer. So let's look at that. Very important, because hepatitis C is the fastest growing infectious disease in America, and it's also very, very common in Asia. There's 40 million people in China with hepatitis C. It's far more common in Asia than it is in America or Australia. And worldwide, there's approximately 200 million people with hepatitis C virus. It's quite infectious, being 10 times more infectious than the AIDS virus. But unlike hepatitis B, you can't get hepatitis C from having sex. It only comes from blood that is contaminated with the hepatitis C virus. So, what do we have to treat hepatitis C? Well, we have some very good drugs. We have interferon and ribavirin, and we have new drugs coming out all the time that are more effective than interferon, and they're called protease inhibitors, but they're still very new and they're still expensive. And so we really need to think, well, what can we do ourselves to keep the amount of virus in our body low and to reduce the risk of this virus harming our liver and harming our immune system. And also, treatment with the antiviral drugs only lasts on average 48 weeks, at the most 2 years, and this is in special cases. So ask yourself, even if the drugs work, what are you going to do after this time to keep yourself healthy and protect your liver? It's very important, because sometimes the drugs don't work and they can fail because the hepatitis virus becomes resistant to the drugs, and then the drugs become useless. And for hepatitis C, unlike hepatitis B, we do not have an effective vaccine, unfortunately. So until we have an effective vaccine, we have to rely on drugs and nutritional medicine. The other reason why I promote nutritional medicine as part of my strategy to help people with hepatitis C is that the hepatitis C virus is a stealth virus. And what does that mean? Like the stealth aircraft, it can evade radar. So it evades your immune system surveillance radar, and so your immune system can't detect it. It's very clever at hiding. And so sometimes a blood test will show that you are cured, in that they can't find any virus in your blood, but the virus is still lurking in your body somewhere, either in your brain, in the fluid around your brain, in your lymph glands, or in your liver. So it comes back another day to attack you when you're run down, when you're stressed, when you're weak. And some studies have been done in patients who were so-called cured from the hepatitis C virus with antiviral therapy, being interferon and ribavirin. And the studies looked at these patients with blood tests and liver biopsies, and they found that in the vast majority of these patients, even though the virus was not in their blood, it was present in their liver when the liver biopsy was examined. So that's a little bit depressing. And these are two studies. They're not big studies, but you know, when you think about, well, there was 20 patients in one study that were looked at, and although all 20 of them tested negative for the virus in their blood, 19 of them had the virus still present in their liver. It's disappointing. But nevertheless, we can do a lot to prevent that virus from interfering with our energy levels, our quality of life, and to prevent that virus from damaging our liver and causing cirrhosis. And to do that, nutritional medicine is essential. Now, another thing I'd like to mention is there is a new genetic test called the IL-28B gene test, and this is a great test to have if you have hepatitis C, because it predicts whether you are likely to respond to antiviral drugs. So if you have a favourable pattern near your IL-28B gene, then you have an 80% chance of being cured from hepatitis C virus with drugs. Well, that's fantastic. Whereas if you don't have this favourable genetic pattern, you only have a 30% chance. So I advise everyone with hepatitis C to have this genetic test. It's a blood test, and that'll help you decide whether you want to go through the unpleasant side effects and the risk of antiviral drug treatment. Because if you only have a 30% chance of cure, I personally wouldn't, and I would wait for another day when we have more effective drugs. But that's a personal choice. Now, what about fatigue? This is very, very common in people with hepatitis C, and that is because the liver produces energy. Indeed, it provides your body with energy. If it's damaged, the liver doesn't produce as much energy. It's not able to store glucose in the form of glycogen as well, and it's not able to make proteins as well, so your muscles get very weak. Now, treatment with antiviral drugs increases fatigue. So nutritional medicine is very, very important to help reduce this fatigue. Very, very important. So looking at some of the things that we can do to protect our liver against these viruses and to overcome the side effects, both short-term and long-term, of antiviral drugs. Well, first of all, we should use a good liver formula that contains milk thistle, B vitamins, selenium, the sulfur-bearing amino acids, something like the Livertone Plus, which really helps to support your liver function. And also selenium, that is vitally important. Selenium is a mineral that is often deficient in soils in large parts of America, large parts of Australia. Australia has a terrible problem with selenium deficiency. Our soils have terrible quality when it comes to micro minerals, and it causes a lot of health problems. But there's also large areas of America and widespread areas in China where the soils are very selenium deficient, and this really causes problems with people's immune system. Now, why is this? Well, selenium is essential for your immune system to fight a virus. Selenium is able to reduce the ability of a virus to replicate itself in your body. So I often call selenium the viral birth control pill. It's able to reduce the amount of virus in your body. And I had one particular patient who demonstrated this beautifully. Her name is Tammy, and she's American, and she had hepatitis C virus, and she was unable to even try antiviral drug therapy because her immune system had been so damaged by the overuse of antibiotics and the overuse of drugs that she had multiple allergies. She had a really severe allergy problem to many, many different substances. So it was going to be very dangerous for her to take interferon and ribavirin, and her mother was desperate. So she contacted me, and we worked out a program for Tammy, and we put her on raw juices. We changed her diet. She had a fatty liver, so we reduced the amount of carbohydrate in her diet, gave her good protein. We gave her a good liver tonic. We gave her selenium. We treated her thyroid, which was also a bit underactive. And over a period of a year, her recovery was dramatic. And we didn't cure her, but we achieved a huge reduction in the amount of virus in her body. Before she started my treatment program, the amount of virus in her body was 14.5 million viruses per mil of blood. That's a lot, isn't it? 14.5 million viruses per mil. She had a very, very high viral load. She was a very sick girl. After 12 months, her viral load was reduced down to 344,000. That's a reduction of 14.2 million viruses per mil of blood. She felt completely different. She was able to go back to work, and she had a pretty heavy work schedule. So selenium is essential in reducing the amount of virus in your body. And that means that your cells are able to get on with their job of producing energy. Just think about it. If your cells have become a virus factory, all they're doing all day is reproducing viruses, then you're going to be very tired. If we can get the amount of virus down, and their cells are not just sitting there reproducing all these viruses, they're no longer a virus factory, then they can turn into an energy factory instead. So very important to get the viral load down, even if we can't eradicate the virus. And it's quite possible to measure the viral load, which is the amount of virus in your body, as we did with Tammy. So we've got to use selenium. Now, the Livertone Plus has selenium in it, but you would also need some extra selenium if you have a high viral load. So you can get selenium supplements, powders or tablets. They're not expensive, and it's important to use a form of selenium called selenomethionine and not selenite, because the selenomethionine form of selenium is organic and it's better utilised. The other thing, you may want to take extra doses of vitamin E. It reduces scar tissue. Always use fish oil, as I said. It protects the membranes of your cells against inflammation. So bump up the omega-3 fats from the fish oil, walnuts, flaxseed, chia, and you can use some antiviral herbs in your diet, such as oregano or oregano, thyme, garlic and chives. There's a lot of foods that have antiviral properties, and particularly the herbs that we use in our diet, like thyme, oregano, garlic, chives. These things will actually help your body and your liver to fight this virus and to reduce the risk of liver cancer, because this is what people worry about. When they've got hepatitis, they think, oh, I don't want to get cirrhosis and I don't want to get liver cancer. Well, this is what you need to do. You need to use nutritional medicine because it will prevent the chronic inflammation that leads to cirrhosis and liver cancer. The other thing, it's good not to be deficient in iodine if you have a chronic viral infection in your liver. Iodine is a mineral, and about 50% of the world is low in it. It's very bad because you need iodine for a healthy immune system. Iodine has antiviral properties, anti-inflammatory properties, and your immune system cannot fight a virus efficiently if you're deficient in iodine. So you can have a urine test to measure your level of iodine. You want it to be over 100. And if it's not, take a good iodine supplement, such as this little formula here. This is a very good iodine supplement. This is the thyroid health capsules, and it contains iodine, selenium, vitamin D, and zinc. And you can see it's a pretty green colour. Well, that is because the capsule is coloured with chlorophyll, which is a natural pigment, and it stops the light getting inside the capsule because light destroys vitamin D. So it's a pretty green colour because of the chlorophyll, and it protects the ingredients. So that's one source of iodine, or you could take kelp, or you could take seaweed or iodine drops. but you don't want to be deficient in iodine, and you definitely don't want to be deficient in selenium. So while we cannot guarantee to completely eradicate the hepatitis virus by nutritional medicine, what we can do is greatly reduce the chance of that virus damaging your liver and causing end-stage liver disease. And we have thousands of patients that we've helped. There's some very good testimonials on liverdoctor.com. So go and have a look. We were able to improve liver function in 70% of patients. We are able to reduce the viral load in well over 50% of patients, and often dramatically. So nutritional medicine does work. And, you know, sometimes doctors will say to their patients, oh, there's no evidence that that works. Don't take any herbs like milk thistle, or don't use selenium, or don't use iodine, or whatever. And my answer to that is, why? Have they done the research? Have they looked at all the studies that are available on selenium? There's thousands of studies on selenium that show that it's able to reduce viral load, even in AIDS patients. And these studies are published in reputable medical journals, not just in, you know, some health newsletter somewhere. These are in conventional, prestigious, peer-reviewed medical journals. So why don't they do their research instead of trying to minimise nutritional medicine and telling patients false things? These things are very safe and they're effective. They're not exclusive to drug-orientated medicine. They're complementary. I believe in holistic medicine. So don't let doctors put you off. Don't let doctors minimise nutritional medicine or be sarcastic about it. Do your own research. There's a lot of research available on the internet for free. As I said, research about iodine, selenium, vitamin D, milk thistle, liver function, it's all there, and it's presented in peer-reviewed, prestigious medical journals. So don't just take the word of someone else. Do your own research. It's very interesting. So when it comes to reducing chronic inflammation, just to summarise, our diet's very important. We need to increase the amount of raw food in our diet. Juicing can help, raw juicing. Also the antioxidants like vitamin E, vitamin C and selenium, and omega-3 fatty acids. So those simple things make a big difference, and the studies are there to prove that. Now the other thing that can also help is vitamin D. So it's very important to have a blood test to check your vitamin D level. And we don't want your vitamin D level to be just at the lower limit of the normal range or just in the middle. You don't want to be average. You want it to be towards the upper limit of the so-called normal range. Because vitamin D is an important anti-inflammatory. And people with liver problems often have low vitamin D. Perhaps because they don't have the energy to spend time outdoors, but also because the liver is required for the activation of vitamin D. So there may be many reasons why you could be low in vitamin D. If you are, you need to take a vitamin D supplement and get your blood vitamin D levels up towards the upper limit of the normal range. That's going to reduce inflammation. Now let's talk a little bit about gallstones and gallbladder disease. It's a very, very common problem, and we receive a lot of phone calls and a lot of emails from people who have gallstones, and they're in a quandary: should I have my gallbladder out or not? Well, a lot of gallstones are silent, and they're found on an ultrasound scan or some other imaging test that is done routinely to check for perhaps their liver or their pancreas. So they didn't have any symptoms of gallstones, so the gallstones were just found incidentally. So the doctor says, oh, you've got gallstones, you should have them out. But really, if they're not causing you any problems, I think it's really a good idea to try dissolving the gallstones naturally by changing your diet and by taking some liver supplements, and gradually shrink the stones so that they don't get to the size where they can cause you problems. So how can we achieve that? Well, simple things like drinking more water. if you're not drinking enough water every day, you'll be dehydrated and your bile will be thick and sluggish, so the flow will slow down and you'll get more chance of stones crystallizing out. So by drinking the water, that's going to reverse all that and reduce your risk of gallstones. Also, raw juicing can help. Put some raw ginger in there, maybe some apple, carrot, cabbage, cilantro, all the things that really help your liver to produce healthy bile. You could put some dandelion, if you've got some fresh dandelion growing, or some kale. The things that contain sulphur are very good for the bile. You could take an extra taurine supplement. You could take the Livertone Plus. You could take some selenium. And all these things will support your liver in its function of making healthy bile. And healthy bile is less likely to produce gallstones. And I would also have some apple cider vinegar with every meal. So what you can do is have about a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in a small glass of water and sip it during the meal, and that will help to dissolve the gallstones. So simple things like that can slowly dissolve them. Of course, you will need to stop eating so much sugar, because if you keep eating too much carbohydrate in the form of sugar or bread, donuts, pasta, things like that, your liver will turn that carbohydrate into unhealthy cholesterol, which will be pumped out of your body through the liver via the bile, and unhealthy bile will cause stones. So a little bit of tweaking of the diet there as well. Now, you've probably heard of the liver and gallbladder flush. Well, that is a procedure that has become very popular, particularly in Russia and Europe, but also in America. And that describes a process where you take some olive oil and citrus juice and ginger and garlic juice, and you mix it all together, and every 15 minutes you have 3 tablespoons of each, well, it's all mixed together basically. And what that does is it causes your gallbladder to contract and flush the stones out. It's not for the faint-hearted, let me tell you. It's a little bit barbaric, because you'll probably be up all night and you want to do it on the weekend, and it can cause some tummy cramps, abdominal pain, diarrhea, nausea, some people even vomit. I definitely do not recommend a liver flush if you have symptomatic gallstones, which means if you're already getting pain and discomfort or nausea or indigestion from gallstones, don't do a liver flush. See your doctor first. It's much better to gently try and dissolve the stones away. But if you just want to do like a general liver cleanse and you have a few tiny little stones, talk to your doctor about doing a liver flush with the olive oil and the citrus and the garlic and the ginger juice. It does work, and you may find that you pass literally hundreds, and I've even had one patient pass over 1,000 tiny little green stones just from doing one liver flush. So, you know, you can get a cleansing of the gravel and the sludge and the little stones from your gallbladder and your bile ducts, but you won't be able to budge the big stones. You know, if you try and budge the big stones with a flush, you're going to be in a lot of trouble because the big stone is going to get stuck, and if it gets stuck in the common bile duct or where the bile duct joins the pancreas, you're in big trouble. So you've got to be careful with the liver flush. Talk to your doctor about it, but it is very popular. Now, if you want some in-depth, really good information on gallbladder disease and gallstones, go to liverdoctor.com and click on gallbladder disease, and every test is there, every possible treatment that you could think of using to help your gallbladder before surgery or post-surgery is there, and I encourage you to take a look because it's very comprehensive. But the message is, you can treat gallbladder disease naturally. It does work in the majority of cases, however, not for everyone, and you may need your gallbladder removed. But you can work with your doctor using natural methods and see how you go. And if you can keep your gallbladder, fantastic, because it does perform some important functions. If you can't, you still need to look after your liver after you've had your gallbladder removed, because you can still form stones in the bile ducts. And that will block the bile ducts and lead to liver cysts within your liver that are very painful and very destructive. So remember, what caused the gallstones and the gallbladder disease in the first place was unhealthy bile. So you've still got to look after your liver and keep your bile healthy to prevent further stones. And the other thing is that a lot of gallstones are silent and never produce any problems, and most people go to their grave with their gallstones. So you don't have to panic unless you've really got a lot of unpleasant symptoms, when you need to have a good surgeon on standby while you try the natural therapies. So I hope this presentation has helped you to appreciate your liver, the largest and hardest working organ in your body, and to give it a little bit of TLC every day. You don't have to be perfect, as I said. You don't have to be a teetotaler. You don't have to give up chocolate, coffee, whatever. But you do need to check your liver regularly, and you do need to do a few things to support your liver function, because there are so many viruses around today that can attack our liver. There are so many toxic chemicals. People are prescribed so many drugs, some people taking 5 or 6 different drugs, and have no idea that this could damage their liver. We're very laissez-faire, or a little bit complacent if you like, and we need to be more on the case. And if you look after your liver and improve your liver function, your whole life can change. You'll lose weight more efficiently, you'll have more energy, you won't be as angry and irritable, you'll have a better memory, your skin will be better. If you improve your liver function, the dividends it pays are enormous, and you will probably live many years longer. Because, as I said before, take the letter R off the end of the word liver, says live. How healthy is your liver? If you don't know, find out. I'm Dr. Sandra Cabot, and it's been great speaking with you today. And remember, keep in touch. Visit our website, liverdoctor.com. If you have any problems, give us a call or send us